Kawamina Proto-moto des, and welcome back to another deck profile. This is Rescue Ace Machina, or Machina if you want. Some people prefer that pronunciation, but let's get right into it. Starting off, we play one copy of Machina RUINFORCE. So RUINFORCE needs to be in the graveyard to be special summoned, and you need to banish monsters whose total level equals 12 or more, but that's pretty easy in this deck. It's not hard to do, so if you want to dump this to your graveyard as soon as possible and then try to get more materials into the graveyard and use the effect. But when this card is on the field, when your opponent activates a card effect or during the battle phase, you could pay half your life points to get the activation. If you do, have your opponent's life points. So it's a pretty good even, like, half and half. Next up, we play one copy of Machina Citadel. This is your big boy, also board removal. It's really good, like, to board clear, in my opinion. But it also is a recurring card that you're able to dump into your graveyard, and then if another Earth Machine monster is destroyed, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Next up, we play one copy of Machina Irradiator. Irradiator allows you to just... Next up, we play one copy of Machina Irradiator. This allows you to free up your hand, as well as dump other Machina monsters into the graveyard. So basically what you'll do is special summon this, target this card, and then special summon one Machina monster with a different name with an equal or lower level than this card. And if you do destroy then destroy this one, and then you're able to bring back whatever you dumped. Next up, we play one copy of Machina Fortress. So basically, this is another card, so you get to dump into the graveyard. So basically, if you have Machina Fortress in hand and RUINFORCE, dump RUINFORCE, bring out Machina Fortress. Next up, we play two copies of Gear Frame. Gear Frame is your main searcher. So this is your hard normal summon for the turn. Really easy target for imperms and veilers. Sucks when it happens, but it happens a lot. And that's the hard part about this deck. That's why you play the other Rescue Ace monsters to kind of subside this kind of factor. Next up, play one copy of UNCLASPARE. So if this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon it, and then you cannot special summon the rest of the turn except machine monsters, which is not going to be a problem. If this card is normal special summon, you can send one Machina monster from your deck to your graveyard, except UNCLASPARE, and you use each effect once per turn. So usually you'll either switch it off Gear Frame or your copy of Gear Giant X. So usually what I would do is go Gear Frame into UNCLASPARE, special UNCLASPARE into Gear Giant, and then search out your copy of Possessed Storage. Possessed Storage allows you to, when no more special summon, target one Machina monster graveyard except itself, and then special summon in defense position. So there's also another recurring card that you go into. Like if like another Machina monster to your graveyard, level 4 like Gear Frame, normal summon this, bring that back, go into rank 4, grab your copy of UNCLASPARE, and then you have 2 materials to use for link 2s. And then the other effect reads that you can target one other machine monster you control, and then one spell and trap card your opponent controls, return them to the hand. You can use each effect of Machina Possessors once per turn. Moving on to our Rescue Ace monsters, we play 3 copies of Airlifter. Airlifter allows you to add your field spell to your hand, as well as go into your other extenders during your opponent's turn. So for example, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can tribute this card from your hand and summon whatever you want, either your Hydrant, your Impulse, stuff like that. So moving on to our 3 copies of Impulse, the reason why I play this is because it's kind of like a semi-imperm, but it's kind of not in a way, so be cautious when you use this one, especially like if you're trying to go into other plays. This one you might want to cut down to 2 and bump something else up, but this basically has the same clause as the first one, but if you tribute this card from your hand or field face up, special one Machine Rescue Ace monster from your deck. So that could be your higher level one, lower level one, it doesn't matter as long as you have a target. Next, we'll play 3 copies of Hydrant. So what Hydrant does, allows you to play your quick play and trap cards when you use Turbulence effect, but it's kind of hard to use this simultaneously because what ends up happening is that you'll have Hydrant in the graveyard and you'll have Turbulence on the field, but not one or the other. Next, I'll play 1 copy of Fire Engine. Fire Engine is your special summon from your hand when you normal summon another monster. So basically what I like to do is chain block a bit and whatnot. And then moving on to Turbulence. Turbulence is another one of... So you banish 2 Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard. This could be a spell, trap, whatever, a monster. And then during your main phase, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick plays and normal traps with different names from your deck. So that thins your deck out by 4, which is really good in terms of trying to get the cards you want into your hand. And then if another card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 card on the field, destroy it. So if your opponent, like Harpy Feather Dust, is your back row, you at least get 1 pop on the field. Moving on to our spells, we play 3 copies of Redeployment. So this allows you to get your Machina cards from your deck to your hand a lot faster. So for example, if I wanted to discard 1 card and then add UNCLASPARE and Possessed Storage, that would be a totally valid choice. Or you can add your copies of Gear Frame if you don't have a good starting hand. But we play 3 copies of Redeployment, and then moving on to our one of Reinforcement of the Army. This is your searcher for your just your copy of Airlifter. You play 3, but it is a necessary starting card, in my opinion, to get your field spell, to get the extra normal summon. So moving on to our Rescue Ace spells, we play 2 copies of Alert. So with Alert, you're able to add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your graveyard to your hand, and then if you control Hydrant, you add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck instead. Rescue is an interesting card. We also play 2 copies of these, so target 1 Rescue Ace in your graveyard. You can special summon it, so either you target your Rescue Ace monster, like Hydrant, to special summon this first, then you activate your other copies of the spells to go get the secondary effects. So next up, we'll play 2 copies of Urgent Schedule. This allows you to special summon any Earth monster out of your hand, so either Citadel, Megaform, or anything like that. And then we play 3 copies of Rescue Ace HQ. This is our field spell, so this allows you the extra normal summon, and then you can target 4 Rescue Ace cards that are banished from the graveyard and shove them back into the deck. So it's really good resource-wise, and you also get the +1. Then you say, well, then moving on to our trap cards, we play 2 Next, moving on to our trap cards, we play 2 copies of Contain. So Contain is kind of our imperm for the deck, but it's a kind of less usable without our copy of Turbulence. So basically, you negate the effect of the monster, but if you control Hydrant, it can't be used for material for anything. And then we play 2 copies of Extinguish. So if we control a Rescue Ace monster, you can target 1 effect monster our opponent controls to destroy it, and then they can't activate any monster with those effects if we control Hydrant. Next up, we play 3 copies of Machina Overdrive. Overdrive allows you to grab whatever Machina monster with a different name from your hand or deck and special summon it, which is really good, especially like if you have Citadel on the field or something like that. You go grab copy of Fortress, Gear Frame, whatever you want. This is like a kind of a pretty much win card right here. But then you can banish this card from your graveyard and target 3 machine monsters that are banished from your graveyard and special summon them to your deck. So if you banish, or if something else is banished, like your copies of UNCLASPARE, Split Storage, or anything like that for your RUINFORCE, you're able to get that back with your Machina Overdrive. And the good thing about this too is that it works with all of your most of the copies at least, of your Rescue Ace monsters, which is really neat. And then that when you shuffle them back into your deck, you can draw 1 card. Moving on to our extra deck, we play 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus as board removal, 1 copy of Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon as our level 10 XCs, and then 1 copy of Gear Gigant X for our Searcher, and then number 27 to go into our copy of Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon. Next up, for Link Monsters, play 1 copy of Underworld Goddess, 1 Copper Boral Sword, 1 Access Kotaker, 1 Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, and then we do run a slight Charm package here, which is really cool, because we play the Link to Azusa, we play the Link to Dark, and then the Link to Hida, because we are working with Earth, Dark, and Fire monsters, and the only requirement is one of the elements required. Next, we'll play 1 copy of Barricade Board Blocker. Board Blocker allows you to get your field spell back, which, just in case you don't have it, or it's in your graveyard for whatever reason. And then we play 1 copy of IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is pretty good because it allows you just to go into other copies using like Nightmare Unicorn interactions and whatnot. So thank you guys for watching. That's it for this deck profile. If you want to see more of Rescue Ace monsters in general, because I kind of enjoy the deck, leave a like and comment below, and I will catch you guys later, right? So sayonara.